What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Joey B podcast. I'm back in a rhythm. It's the first time in forever that I've been able to do 2 weeks in a row of podcasting on my own platform. So yeah, I wanted to ride the momentum. And just so you guys know, I didn't want to. I didn't want to podcast tonight. I was like, nah, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it Saturday. I'll do it Sunday. And I go back and forth. I'm like, nah, fuck that, dude. I don't give a fuck how I feel. I'm gonna do this podcast. And then I started getting more excited. And then I started reading my book, and not my book that I published, the book that this book series right here, Red Rising. Oh my God, this book is amazing. So let's just start here. Let's just start with the easy topic. If you know me, books, movies, like art, I'm always looking for a hero's journey. I'm always looking at how I can apply these lessons to my life. And I am a sucker for societal upheaval movies where people start at the bottom and they rise to the top. It's the story not only of my life, right, but in terms of like Native Americans, but just like me as a person, on how many times in my life people have shit on me, how many times people in my life have, like, doubt me, how many times people in my life never give me an opportunity, and so then I have to make my own opportunity, and then they have to come back and be like, damn, Joey, you were right. Damn, Joey, we fucked up. Damn, Joey, I'm sorry. Like, damn, Joey, I should have never treated you like that. And so, like, for me, societal upheaval stories are just like, they just get me in the heart. And this book is awesome because it's a combination of three books, three different movies and books that I love. One of them is Gattaca. Gattaca is a movie in the 1990s with Ethan Hawke. It's so awesome. It's about a guy who is born of a lower societal class, and he like changes his DNA. He tries to change his DNA and his skin, and he has like fake blood, all this stuff to rise to the top. So it's like that, mixed with Hunger Games, mixed with The Maze Runner. And at first, my friend David, he's just been getting me to like, you gotta read this book. And bro, ever since last year, and we were in the jungles together out at Kumankaya, we were all like, when you're in the jungle and you have nothing to do, living in isolation, you like find things to talk about. We were like talking about books, and he's just been in my ear about it since then. And I finally was like, all right. I just finished rereading Frank Beddor's The Looking Glass Wars, the true story of Alice in Wonderland, which is literally top 3 book series of me of the whole time. So I just reread that, and then I told them I was going to read this, and it's fantastic. And I guess I want to jump off here because what I think, because the character in the book is so resentful. He's so angry. He's so manipulative. He's like, he will do whatever it takes to like avenge his wife and his people, the Reds. And he's like cold and calculated, and he like struggles with being a moral person. And my pushback against books like The Hunger Games and Maze Runner, like I would read these books and they were just too soft. I'd be like, Katniss, just kill this motherfucker. Katniss, fuck that guy, Like, I don't even remember the main character in the Maze Runner movies, but it was just like soft, and I'm just like, kill, kill, kill. And in Red Rising, it's very violent, and I'm like, yes, yes. And but this main guy, the main character, Darrow, he's very angry, he's very resentful, he's very cynical, but he's quote unquote doing it out of love. But underneath it all, he's actually doing it out of resentment and anger for how he and his people have been treated forever. Like, he just has lied to himself about, well, society is run like this, and that's not really how I feel. I guess I'll just be down here in the lowest level of society and just like live in the mines and do mine workers and just like live a hunky dory life. Do. But like, that's not true. It's not how he really feels. It's just the lie that you tell yourself to get through your life, your shitty fucking life. And when you actually begin to like let those feelings and emotions like rise to the top, you realize how angry and resentful and bitter and like you just want to fucking tear society apart. And so I wanted to start off with that, with this book, because the book is fantastic for all of those voracious readers out there. It's fantastic. So the reason I wanted to start there in that character Darrow is, first of all, thank you to everyone who listened to the podcast last week. Fucking Rachel is my most popular friend apparently, because that's like the most listened to podcast I think I've ever had with Rachel. And so shout out to Rachel being so open and honest. Everyone, like, there's people that texted me that I didn't even know listened to my podcast and were like, hey man, thank you for putting that out. That was like one of the most real podcasts I've ever listened to. And credit to Rachel, because she was so willing and open to just kind of be vulnerable about the things that she's gone through, not only in her life, in her marriage, in the past year since being in the jungle. It was really awesome just to sit back, you know, because again, Rachel is one of my best friends, and literally my whole life. Out of everyone in my life right now, like, people come and go in my life, like friends, but Rachel has been in my life literally since I was 15 years old. And it's just been so fun for me to watch her grow and mature, not only as a person, as a woman, as a mother, as a wife. It's just been really awesome for me to like watch and like witness that. And so last week when I got a chance to talk to her for the first time, like I said on the podcast, I haven't got a chance to just like sit down and just talk with my friend Rachel, because there's always, my life's busy, her life's busy with her kids, her husband, me with OPT. There's always just like other people around. And the last time we got to just me and her just talk, I just remember vividly, like there was times where we were in the jungle and it's just like me and her in the Maloka. We just got to talk just like friends. And I get super emo about it because she's like such a great friend of mine. And I cherish deep conversations with people that I love, because I care about her and her family and her husband. But when I don't ever get a chance to just like hear what she has to say, or how things have evolved, or how things have shifted for her, like I miss it. And so it's so fun, because some of the stuff that she shared, I have never heard her articulate it in that way before. And it was so beautiful, because she has matured in such an amazing way. And now she knows how to express it in a way that's tangible, in a way that makes sense, in a way that makes people be like, God damn, I never looked at it like that before. And the topic was all about resentment. And I want to piggyback off of that, because after that conversation, again, I got a lot of text messages, and that's like the story of my life, resentment, you know, and anger. It's like been such a fuel of mine, but I don't want it to be, and I've done a really good job over the past 11 fucking years of working on it and getting rid of it, taking it into ceremony, getting advice on it, you know, journaling it, whatever. It's like when it comes to anger and resentment, I've done it, but it's like a huge quote unquote addiction of mine. It's a huge Achilles heel, that when something could cause me sadness, something that caused me pain, something that could cause me to fail, I have this I have a saying, or it's one of my guiding philosophies in life, is I believe that every person has a go-to emotion, and it's one emotion. People might want to say, oh, I have 5 emotions that I go to when shit goes crazy, but you don't. You have one main one, and then you might have some follow-up ones. And my main one is anger. So my go-to emotion in any situation is anger. Even if it's something that's sad, I go to fucking anger, and then it turns into resentment. But now as I've matured and worked on these things, it goes, if it's something that's sad, I can allow myself to feel sad. And I can be aware if I want to become resentful. I'm aware if I want to become angry. Or if it is angry, or if I am angry, I don't let it turn into anything other than anger. If I'm resentful, I don't let it turn into resentfulness towards other people, situations, my speech, you know, because then it can turn into like pettiness. Shout out Steph, because that's one of my things. If I talked with Rachel about, if I'm resentful and angry, motherfucker, you're going to know it, you're going to feel it, and you're going to break before I do. I fucking guarantee that. I have mastered this emotion since I was 3 fucking years old. You are not going to walk away unscathed by my anger and resentment and my pettiness. Like, whoo! And that's a side of me that I've worked on just letting go of. And it's hard because there are a lot of topics for me that will really go, I'll go from 0 to 100, especially when it comes to religions, especially when it comes to my Native American culture, especially when it comes to, I would say those two are the ones that take me 0 to 100. Anyway, so I've spent a lot of the last week since me and Rachel had that conversation thinking about it. And one of the things that was so, I felt like this was one of the smartest things I've ever heard in my life. Rachel had said, emotions and morality. Like, you have to take emotions and morality and separate them. I was like, God damn, I've not only never thought about that, but it opened up a completely new paradigm for me. But if people truly understand what that means, because for me, when I'm angry or resentful, I don't feel like a bad person. It's one of those things where I'm like, yeah, I'm angry or I'm resentful. Fuck you. Or I don't give a fuck. I don't think that it makes me a bad person, because I look at the quality of my life. I look at the quality of my friendships. I look at the quality of my relationships. I don't have anything to complain about in my life other than the fact that I'm hanging on by a goddamn thread with OPT. But I get resentful and angry towards myself because a lot of the things that I'm doing, i.e. putting out this fucking ebook, I should have done 7, 8, 9 years ago. And now I'm trying to play catch up and save my business. And I want to get mad at people. I want to get angry at people. But then I take a moment and look at, oh, it's me that caused this fucking shit show. Meaning, the business isn't as successful as I want it to be, as it should be, as it can be. That's all my doing. But what I wanted to say about the emotions and the morality is people will not allow themselves to feel certain emotions because they think it makes them a bad person. If I'm angry, I'm a bad person. If I'm resentful, I'm a bad person. But then we champion, especially in today's society, we champion the people that come out and say they're depressed. We champion the people that come out and say, oh, my mental health sucks. Oh, mental health awareness. And I say it like that because it's been turned mental health, sadness, depression, which I have a whole podcast on the difference between sadness and depression because they're not the same thing. And I talk about it in this manner because it's been completely manipulated to where if you're depressed, let's have everybody feel sorry for you. If you're sad, let's have everyone feel sorry for you. And the person, the receiving end of, I'm depressed, I'm sad, it's good for you, way to speak up, way to, not give up. And they're attaching morality to it. And because of that, I'm not saying everybody, but I see a lot of people that say they're sad, depressed as an excuse to act a certain way, to take on a certain mindset that is nothing more than a victim mindset, because in today's society the victims are being rewarded, and it's taken away from people who are actually in a victim state of mind, people that have been abused, people that have been oppressed, people that are actually really going through something sad, or people who are actually going through real bouts of depression. And I say this because we are okay. We attach these moral judgments based on the emotion. Like, depending on the emotion, you rank the morality of you as a person. I'm sad and I'm depressed, so therefore I'm better, or it's okay to be this way. Society accepts people that are sad and depressed and lonely. It's okay. But if you're angry or resentful or vindictive, oh, you're a bad person. You can't talk like that. You can't be like that. That's a bad quality. And so what happens? More and more people become depressed. Repression turns into bursts, outbreaks, highly dysfunction, people snap. When you talk about, and I've talked about this on many different podcasts, I have writings about this, but you look at the people that commit mass murders, like shootings and shit. That's another thing I am like I get frustrated with it because all the people that do things like that are very, very, very highly dysfunctional people that are very angry, that are very resentful, that have been hurt, that have been traumatized over and over and over again. And instead of the world putting real mental health advocacy, right? Programs, teachers, education, instead of putting those things in the forefront of everyone's life. Oh, it's mental health day. Oh, it's mental health month. Let me slap a colored sticker on my shirt because I'm a mental health advocate. Yeah. And then the society continues getting worse and worse and worse. The suicide rates go up and up and up. Depression goes up and up and up. Sadness goes up and up and up. People in unhappy relationships is going up and up and up. Weight loss, people that are overweight and obese, up and up and up. Sickness in the country keeps going up and up and up. Disease in this country keeps going up and up and up. And because we attach morality to people and their emotions, if people say, man, this is how I fucking feel today, we want to be like, oh, stay away from that person. That person's a bad person. Or that person's going to fucking come unglued. Versus listening to what people actually have to say and then asking. And I do this. I'm talking about this because I do this every single day. And this is something I've been doing since 2011. So that's why I feel not only passionate about it, I feel very confident about it. And I see it every day. And when someone has a really hard day, or they say something that's quote unquote emotionally not okay because we want to attach a moral to it, I say, how does that make you feel? What is that like for you, feeling like that? What is that like, living like that? Do you want to keep feeling like that? Giving them space to talk and just be versus, well, let me just sprinkle some love and light on that. You know what? Well, hopefully you can just get yourself in a better mood, a positive mood. Don't be angry. Life's too short to be angry. Life's too short to be resentful. Life's too short to be sad and depressed. I'm using those ones because those are like big ones. And when you step back and you look at, damn, are there emotions and feelings and perspectives that I'm okay feeling like this because it makes me a good person, it makes me a person that's working on themselves, it makes me a functioning person. So you express those ones, but the other emotions are off the table because you attach yourself in some moral hierarchy to that. Meaning, I'm using anger and resentment because that was the topic. I can't be angry because then everyone's going to think I'm a bad person, or I'm crazy, or I don't have my shit dialed together, so let me just stuff. Just because you have a certain emotion, one, it doesn't make you a bad person or a good person. Just because you have love and light thoughts and you're Mr. or Mrs. Positivity and da-da-da, that doesn't make you a good person. It doesn't make you a bad person. Because then that goes into Rachel's whole self-righteousness, the insidiousness of being self-righteous, and the people-pleasing aspect, which we talked about with Rachel, which was so fucking fascinating. Oh, you're a people-pleaser, so you must be a good person. You must be a good person because you're a people-pleaser. But inside, like, again, when you step back to Darrow, the book, I'm just going to do what everyone needs me to do. I'm going to play I'm going to play the role I need to in society. I'm going to show up how people want me to show up. I'm going to dress the way people want to dress. I'm going to talk the way people want to talk. I'm going to do all these things just to make everybody happy. But inside, you're fucking just ready to explode. And then when you actually give yourself space to allow yourself to let that come through, what happens? You do explode. You do are like, oh my God, I'm so resentful, I'm so angry. And it's funny talking to Rachel about it because, again, you would never know Rachel as that person because she's so jolly and happy and she's mastered that. And so I'm bringing this up because I'm going to talk about addiction tonight and why I wrote the book that I wrote and how these are, if you're someone that has an opinion about anything, politics, society, sports, relationships, whatever. This is my personal opinion. If you haven't done anything to contribute to make whatever you're talking about better, shut the fuck up. Nobody fucking cares. You're making the world a worse place. Nobody gives a fuck about your opinion that you haven't done shit to earn, and you're not doing anything to actually be a power that creates change. You're just another motherfucker with an opinion that nobody gives a fuck about. So that's why I don't like talk about certain things. Because I'm like, one, do I have an opinion? Yeah, but I don't care about global fucking warming. Like, I'm not doing anything to change it. I got my lights on right now. I have a gasoline car. If I needed to drink water out of a plastic bottle, I'm going to drink water out of a plastic bottle. So I can't be on some high horse talking about, oh, save the planet, global warming. It's like, if anything, I actually do more because I don't complain about the heat. I get out there, I run in the heat. Like, I do what I can, but I'm not out here talking about, oh, it's global warming day. Let me put a sticker on my shirt. I want you to know how much global warming I care about. When in reality, I don't, because my actions speak for me. So the reason I'm talking about all this tonight is because these are things that not only are important to me, creating emotional awareness, things that I've worked through. I see when you actually take these things on as a person, you do change the world around you. You do create better relationships. Like, the fact that I have taken this path, I have done my absolute best to heal my relationships with my family and my friends, and it's the best that it's ever been with my family. It's not perfect, and there's still some shitty situations, but it doesn't send me into relapsing. It doesn't send me into fighting. It doesn't send me into arguing. I don't get depressed about it. But these are things that I have decided to take on, that I want to change my life around. Even when I have gone through some really hard, fucked up shit over the past 11 years, because your life doesn't get any easier. It seems like the more you work on yourself, your life actually gets harder, because you're not only more aware, you feel everything. You're not numbing out. You're not checking out. But you end up being able to navigate it in such a more healthy, functioning way, to where at the end of whatever bullshit happens in your life, you come out not only stronger, but you actually realize, oh, I made it. Holy shit. Like when I got my heart ripped out earlier this year. You know, I took you guys through a whole series of what was actually happening to me in real time as my heart got demolished. But I didn't do anything stupid. I didn't numb myself out. I didn't check myself out. I didn't put off the things I needed to do for the day. I was very aware of how I felt. All of the sadness, all of the pain, all of the what the fuck is my life. I felt it all. And because I felt it all, I was able to process and get to root issues in my life that ultimately now I'm a way better person because of that. I don't wish that upon myself. I don't wish that upon other people. What I wish is that people would begin to take on the responsibility of learning about themselves. Because when you walk around repressed, angry, resentful, sad, depressed, and you're not willing to do anything about it, ultimately you do make the world a worse place. That's what I mean by nobody gives a fuck about your opinion unless you not only have knowledge in the place that you're talking about, you need to have experience in that place you're talking about, and you need to have something that says, hey, here's what I'm going to do to contribute to make this situation better. Bam. Now, in my opinion, you have the right to speak on the issue at hand. Other than that, just don't say shit, because you're making the world a worse place. And I say that, I don't mean the world at large. I mean your direct world. One of the things I talk about when I do these presentations on passion, I say, when you're following your passion, you change as a person, because every day you realize, damn dude, I'm like chasing my dream. I'm chasing my passion, and it sucks, and it's hard, and it's frustrating. It's very difficult. But like, I'm doing what I love to do. And just by being around me, People feel that. It's infectious. Versus if you're someone who hates their life, they hate what they're doing, you're like a gray cloud floating through earth. Life is more dull. Life is boring. You talk about the same nonsense over and over and over. You complain about the same things over and over and over. You just have the smallest conversations with people that are absolute nonsense because you're on autopilot. And when you're living on autopilot, you make the world a worse place because you're not bringing your love, your beauty, your skill set, your creativity, your imagination, your strength, your courage, your nobility. You're not bringing any of that into the world. Which, if you ask me, that's what I think that's where you're going to find purpose and meaning and fulfillment. Yeah, I understand you got to do what you got to do to survive in the world. I totally get that. And if you're not in a situation that you absolutely have to do everything in your power to just survive, which most people are not, you just have to remove distractions in your life and pick up a little bit more responsibility, and your life would literally turn around. Again, I'm speaking because that's how I put myself through college, working 4 fucking jobs. Like, I've been in those places before. The one reason I'm not working a second job right now for OPT is because, nah, man, I don't want to work a second job for OPT. I want to make sure that I'm doing everything I can to ensure OPT success. So, like, yeah, today I spent 3 hours trying to send out emails to different places to invite corporations in. I could have spent 3 hours driving Uber Eats. I could have spent 3 hours driving DoorDash. I could have spent 3 hours driving for Amazon. I could be doing that. I could be doing that stuff right now. Instead of, Joey, you shouldn't be making a podcast that's bringing in no money or no awareness. But me doing this podcast and me doing something that I love, not only does it fulfill my heart and my passion, but tomorrow I know that because I kept my integrity, I kept my word, and I had this conversation, I'm already going to be in a better mood tomorrow. I already know that. And I'm like, well, yeah, I didn't want to do the podcast even. I was like, I'm just gonna read this book because this book is so good. But I'm like, no, man, I want to do these other things because they're just as important to me. Now, the resentment, the emotions, all of that, because I just finished writing my first ebook. I say first because I'm going to be putting out a bunch of these little ebooks now that I figured out how to do it. And it's called the OPT Medicine Wheel, the Holistic Guide to Transformation. And one of the things that I've noticed, especially with social media, is everybody thinks that just by reading a fucking quote or reposting a 30-second to 1-minute reel of some therapist, like they really think that that's going to change their life. They really think that that's going to like mean something in the grand scheme of things. And I say it doesn't, because go look at the research. People are getting sicker mentally, physically, emotionally, psychologically, spiritually. It's not working. Why? Because your brain sees something that it agrees with, that makes sense, that feels good, and you're like, oh, that's all that I needed. I just needed to think like this. And then what happens is, that doesn't lead to changing patterns. It doesn't lead to changing habits. There's no discipline required. There's no hard work required. You're not actually giving something up. In order for you to make any type of transformation in your life, you have to be willing to give something up. And just because you read a meme, you see a reel, you get a 1-minute little, oh, I feel great, you haven't given anything up. You've just consumed more. That's why we have there's a lot of idiots in the world, because everyone just wants knowledge, but no one actually wants wisdom. The people that are sharing this stuff, I would actually say 90% of the people that are sharing things are full of shit. They're just regurgitating things that they've already heard. And when people ask me to read, but what book should I read? Depending on the person, most of the time it's some philosophical book. Why? Because you need to learn about philosophy. You need to learn how you think. You need to learn about stoicism. You need to learn that you're not actually doing anything that requires sacrifice, discipline, and it's going to cause some being uncomfortable. So therefore, you're not actually changing. You're not actually growing. You think that you are, but you're not. And this has been driving me crazy for a very long time. because that's why I have OPT. Hey, come to ice bath, come to breathwork, come to meditation, come to Vision Quest, come to Sweat Lodge. Fucking meet me in the goddamn jungle. Like, all I try to do is invite people to have experiences. And now, for me personally, you know, I look at it as this book. One, you talk about personal growth, you talk about development, and a lot of people will be like, why? I don't need it. I'm in a good place. And then I was like, man, give me 20 minutes just talking with you and I'll freaking turn your whole life upside down and you'll be like, actually, yeah, I'm not in a good way at all. Trust me, it's happened thousands of times over the past 10 years. And I think part of that is because people don't want to be vulnerable and intimate with themselves because they know that they're not living the best way that they can be. And they think that just by cruising on autopilot is good, which if that's your mindset, that's fine. I'm not making, again, this isn't a moral thing right here. I'm just saying that's okay. But then you can't complain about society. You can't whine about society. You can't have these views. I mean, you can, but you can also be a part of it. You're just one of those talking heads. You're just an idiot. And you can't do that until you start to pick apart at yourself. Because then you realize, damn, all the things I whine about, complain about, and frustrated about, that's me. That's me. And it's something that I thought about for a very long time. And I wanted to put out this book, a free book, because I want people, I never want to have to turn someone down because they can't afford, whether it's training, ice bath, meditation, sauna. I always want to say, look, if you want to work with me one-on-one, there's going to be a price. If you want to work in the group, there's a price. If you want a special treatment for your group, your family, there's a price. We have drop-ins. But hey, I have stuff on YouTube that's absolutely free. Here's a free workouts. Here's free warm-ups. Here's free meditations. Here's free breath work. You cannot say, oh, I want to change, but I want you to coach me, but I can't afford it. It's like, then start saving up or start doing something to where you can afford it. But most of the time it's, I don't actually want to do the work. I don't actually want to hold myself accountable. Now that's something that I excel at personally. In all of my counseling and all the retreats I've been to and all of the programs I've been a part of, the counselors I've worked with, the one thing that every one of my teachers will say is like, damn, like you work extremely hard at this stuff. Like, oh, read a book, done. Read this book, done. Read this book, next, give this up, next, give this up, next, give this up, next. Because I was so sick and tired of being the person that I was. But now I see how it continues to benefit me where I'm like, yeah, look, I want to have more business at OPT, but I'm not willing to learn about marketing. But now I am learning about marketing. I am learning about cleaning up our image when it comes to OPT. I am learning how to put together these things. I am learning. And one of the things that I learned, I've known about myself, but I thought a lot about ever since I talked with Rachel and Serene, is I'm not a people pleaser. And marketing is all about people pleasing. Do you know how much that drives me crazy? It drives me crazy, people pleasing. So I don't do it. That's why most of the time I just always want to do what I want to do. I want to do what I want to do, which is the fucking a mindset of a child, an immature child, which a lot of times I am an immature child. But I don't care if people want to accept me or not. Obviously, at some level, yeah, I want to have friends and I want to be loved. But I want to be loved and accepted for who I am, not who you think I should be, not for a person I pretend to be in front of you, not because I'm being someone who you think I should be. I want to be loved and accepted for who I am, how I express myself, my thoughts, my actions, all of that. It doesn't mean you have to agree with them, but I'm not doing that to please people. And so I think that's when Rachel and Serene were talking about that, like a huge light bulb went off. I'm like, oh my God. Marketing is about people pleasing. Marketing is how can I get you to like me? How can I get you to buy my product? How can I get you to come in? And for me, I'm like, just come in. Just experience it for yourself, and you're gonna be like, God damn, this was like the best thing that's happened to me in so long. And I'm like, yeah, I told you so. Because that's just how my brain works. So anyways, I wrote this book. Part of it is because I think a lot of people are afraid of not only working on themselves, but they don't even know what it means. So a part of the book is explaining the benefits of working on yourself, how applying these principles, these perspectives that I call it the OPT medicine wheel teaches, how that will actually make your life better, how it actually impacts. So it's like an argument for why do you actually want to work on yourself? Well, here's why. And this is what it will do for you when it comes to your health, your mindset, your relationships, your career, the way that you communicate, the way you feel about yourself, your confidence, your self-esteem, your ability to go after the things you want in life. These are all things that are impacted by you doing something like working on yourself or not, and just existing as is. And so the book is like, hey, this is a very introduction guide to what personal growth is all about, what mindset is all about. I wrote it as short as I could, as concise as I could, and it's 20 pages. Yeah, it's not a fucking 30-second reel, a 1-minute reel. It's not some catchy quote that you're going to be like, wow, that makes sense, and then you actually never apply it to your life, which is what a lot of social media therapy is. Which is why, again, people aren't actually making any type of change in their life. And then the book ends with actual practices that I've been doing for 11 years. Practices that have literally changed my life. To where I'm like, here, it's free. All you have to do is be willing to be courageous enough to do this stuff. It doesn't matter how stupid you feel. It doesn't matter how awkward you feel. It doesn't matter how many times people are going to laugh at you, make fun of you, think you're stupid, think you're an idiot, and ask you all these questions about what it is you're doing and why you're working on yourself. None of that matters. What matters is that you do it. And I promise you, I experienced not only that, so many times as I was going through these courses, and counselors and therapists, people, why are you doing that? Why do you ask those questions? Why are you always talking about this? That's so dumb. Why don't you just da-da-da, da-da-da, da-da-da? And I'm like, I don't care. Again, I don't care what you think. This is what is helping me in my life. Because I wasn't born the person that I am right now. I wasn't born a person that is more optimistic, that is more positive, that tries to look at the quote-unquote silver lining in things. It's taken me 11 years, since 2011, so 12 years, to really be like hone it to what I am today. And I know how much I was suffering when I wasn't who I am today. And I know that now I have the tools to get me through really hard things, which in the past 11 years, 12 years, I've gone through some really hard things. And so I wanted to be like, hey, if you're going to read this, this is a very introduction guide. There is no spiritual jargon. There is no love and light. There is no crystals. There is none of that bullshit. It's, here's what this is. Here's what this will do for your life. Here's some practices that you can do. Here are some exercises. Here's some insights. Here's some ways to think about things. If you literally just took the things that I talk about in this 20-page book and did it for the next year, your life would be so much better. You would have so many more tools. You would have a completely different perspective on life. And I guarantee it. I promise it. And it's free. Why? Because I never want to have to be like, to turn someone down. It's like, man, you don't got no money. I can't work with you. You don't want this. Oh, I can't work with you. It's like, no, man, like, it's free. Now, if you want my coaching, if you want personal one-on-one stuff, if you want to be a part of like a retreat or a seminar or have me come and work with a corporation or come and do a speak, yeah, okay, you're going to pay me for that. But if you can't pay, this is free. And I promise you, it's going to work. Because these are things that I actually did. And it's taken me 12 years to put it all together. And I thought about this in the jungle. It's one of the reasons why I was mad and resentful. It's like, motherfucker, why haven't I done this? And it just took me like 3 weeks to sit down and organize everything that had already been written. The stuff that's in this book has already been written. I just needed to reorganize it, re-edit it, repackage it. in a way that's very clear, organized, sharp, that flows. And it's done. And I'm really happy about it. I'm really excited about it. I can't wait for people to give me the feedback. Same thing. It's if you can't take 1 hour and read this, you don't actually want to work on yourself. You don't actually want to improve your life. You just want to think about it versus actually do it. And I promise you, if you do it, it's going to change your life. And so I'm excited about it because I'm going to transition now into what I want, the addiction stuff. When you realize everyone on this planet Earth is addicted to something. I would say, even if you go back to the Buddha, you go back to Christ, you go back to any spiritual leader, they were addicted to their knowledge. They were addicted to sharing their message. They were addicted to getting their point across. They were addicted to getting their point across. They were addicted to sharing. Everyone has an addiction, and we can just frame it in however it makes us feel a certain type of a way. Again, we put morality on addictions. But if you're addicted to working out, oh, it's so good. Oh, David Goggins. Oh, Jocko Willink. Fuck it. I'm picking on these guys because, one, I think that I don't want to get into it. But even someone like Andrew Huberman, bro, you're just addicted to knowledge. That's out. Your addiction is not better than someone who is doing heroin. Like, you're addicted to knowledge. But you don't see it like that because you attach morality to it. Anyways, I bring all this up because I think not only do I work with a lot of people that are working through substance abuse, I talked about this on the fitness podcast. I think more that's poisoning people now is substance abuse, food, money, sex, alcohol, pornography, sugar, TV, media, social media, drama, gossip, politics, you name it. People will have their addictions. But for me, it's where I'm at in my quote unquote sobriety. It's not even, the more I work with people, I think there's no such thing as sobriety. I just think that at different times in different places in your life, again, we place morality on what you're struggling with versus what I'm not struggling with. Now, certain substances or certain activities will prevent you from moving forward in your life. They'll prevent you from creating a stable life, to have a life that you want to live, to where you're not hurting yourself or you're not hurting other people. But you're always going to be addicted to something: productivity, work, like I said, perspectives, emotions. And so one of the reasons with this book is I want to help people bring awareness to that in a soft way, in a very soft way. Because I can be very intense. I can be in your face. I can be tough love. I can hit you with a bunch of arrows. But I wanted this to be like, a way for you to work on yourself. And also, I guess for me too, it's, don't tell me you want to work on yourself, and then I tell you I have this ebook for all the things that I've gone through in my life, and these are the tools and practices that I carry, and then you don't want to take the time to read it. You don't really want to work on yourself. You think that some fucking author who has this or someone famous is going to tell you something that I'm not. And I'll tell you right now, they're not. And I say that with a tremendous amount of confidence because I've done not only the work, I've done the work that a lot of people will never do, and gone to places within my soul, the deepest, darkest parts of my soul that people will not go to. And so for me, I'm like, like you say you're about this personal growth, like you say you want to change your life. You say that, well, here's a free book, check it out. It's 20 pages long. Oh, you don't want to read it? I already know everything I need to know about you and your actual commitment. Because my book isn't just a read. My book is a read and a do. Here are some things that you need to start doing. Here are some things that you can do. But, it's too hard. You just want to think about it. Anyways, I say all this because the more I sit with people and I work with people's addiction issues or quote-unquote substance abuse issues, I look at it as like everyone is in that place. So 2 things that happened to me this week when I was in the sauna. One of the things that I realized that I'm addicted to is I'm addicted to feeling like it's never going to work out for me. I'm addicted to putting myself in a hole to where I feel like I have to climb out of, and I constantly have to like prove myself. I'm addicted to that because I don't know how to operate if I'm not the underdog. If I'm not the lowest ring of society, I don't know how to operate. I just want to fucking seek justice and vengeance and societal upheaval. I'm addicted to that. And I was sitting in the sauna like, geez, dude, I don't want to be addicted to that outlook. I don't want to be addicted to that perspective. I don't want to be addicted to like, I have to do so much to get so little. But that's like that. I suck. My life is never going to work out. I'm always going to be poor. That drive gives me meaning. It's the carrot on the stick. It keeps me chasing something. And I'm addicted to that. Me thinking about that and all of the relationships that brings into my life. Friends, women, loved ones. I attract those types of people to a certain degree. And that was a really hard realization for me. I was like, oh my God, I'm like dry heaving in the sauna. Because I'm like, holy shit. That's one that's like, I never really thought about. Because I'm thinking about where I'm at in my life and different things around addiction. Because for me, I want to be able to show people, this is why you're struggling. And this is how you can uncover it. And then again, here's tools to help you move past it. And especially with relationships, people are addicted to the craziest fucking relationships and put themselves in fucked up situations. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. Like, how are you addicted to these types of situations over and over and over again? And then they'll be like, I don't need to work on myself. I have a great life. I'm like, okay. Anyways, so that was one of the realizations that I thought about in the sauna. And then today I was sitting in the sauna and I thought about, all right, if I'm really going to help people break free from addiction, you know, what is the source of it? And so I was like, in my head, right? It's fucking 200 degrees. I'm suffering. I'm like, okay, what is the root of it? And it's like, I'm going to anger. I'm going to resentment. I'm going to sadness, right? Because if you're someone who's really angry and resentful, there's a lot of sadness in you. This shaman told me this like 5 years ago. I'll never forget it because I was telling him I wanted to work on my anger in ceremony. And he said, Joey, do you know what anger is? I was like, no, tell me. He says, anger is sadness that has been repressed. And I was like, oh my, like my head literally exploded. I was like, oh my God. It's easy for me. I'm addicted to anger. I'm addicted to resentment. But I don't want to feel sad. Because again, even for me, I've put a moral stamp on, if you're a sad person, you're a sad girl, you're a sad boy, you're just sad all the time. It's like, in my eyes, morality, it's like, God damn, that's just gross. But it's not true, and that's a false way that I've always looked at sadness. And because of that, I haven't actually been able to not only process my own sadness, but then I let go of my own anger and resentment. But because the last 5, especially the last 3 years, I've been really clearing out sadness. When waves of anger and resentment come, I can look at, actually, do I feel sad? Oh yeah, because I actually feel rejected. I feel like I'm not being loved. I feel like I'm not being heard. I feel like I'm not being valued. I feel like you're treating me a certain way. That makes me sad. It makes me feel worthless. And I'll be damned if I feel worthless. So I'm just going to feel angry and resentful. Again, that's an addiction. So then I was like, in the sauna today, I call it the addiction hierarchy. Now, if you're not someone who gets sad or angry or resentful, you could be anxious, slide in anxiety. You could slide in depression. You could slide in sadness. You could slide in disassociating. I'm just going to but you can interject anger with something else. You can interject resentment with something else. Now we can get really deep philosophically on this, and I'm like, well, you really can't. You really can't. It's always going to come back down to anger, resentment, and sadness. But in this hierarchy right now, that causes addiction. Anger, Like it goes like the anger for me is that's my go-to emotion, right? We talked about that. So it goes anger, then resentment, then it would go sadness, and then it would go pain. And all addiction stems from pain. All addiction stems from pain. And I thought about this in the sauna today, and I was like, oh my God. Holy shit. I've never looked at it like that before. Yeah, you could say trauma. You can say those things. But trauma is so... The word trauma just makes it sound like it's so grandiose. But when you say pain, it could be something that just says, ouch, that hurt. But if you're highly sensitive, that ouch can be catastrophic or death by 1,000 paper cuts. And I'm like, oh man, when I kind of go through where I'm at in my life right now, the pain that I'm feeling and the sadness I'm feeling is that OPT is not where I want it to go. And it's not working out the way that I thought it could go. I can't provide a career for Ryan. I can't provide a career for Serene. I can't provide a career for my fucking self. And if I'm looking at it objectively, that makes me sad. And then when I look at it objectively, I can now embrace it, be like, yeah, that makes me sad, man. And that causes me pain. So then I'm going to go extra hard. I'm going to try extra this and extra that. Which right now I'm not. I felt like I'm in a really good balance. And the ebook and these things I'm talking about, the marketing, I'm not having to spend hours on end grinding, 3 a.m., 4 a.m., no sleep. That's not, I'm doing it with all in the context of my life. Getting 7 hours of sleep, 8 hours of sleep. I'm doing it where I have pockets of time. I'm able to still have friends, go out, have dinners, like read, get my freaking sucked into this book that I'm reading. And so when you're wondering about addictions, I would say get into things that cause you pain, or things when you really think about cause you sadness. And then you can look at how you distract yourself with all kinds of nonsense that doesn't improve the quality of your life. I'm not saying you can't have fun. I'm not saying you can't relax. I'm not saying that. But too much relaxation, too much pleasure, too much quote unquote fun, which is really just addiction for the most part, will derail your life. Will not, if it doesn't add meaning and fulfillment. And that, again, there is a balance to that. And everyone deep down in their heart, in their soul, will know if they're addicted to something, whether it's a substance, a perspective. Most people are addicted to fucking, this is a super easy one. It's like politics. You're just addicted to politics. Nobody gives a fuck what side of the political party you're on. You just say that because you're addicted to it. But no one really cares. And you can be addicted to being offended. You can be addicted to, again, always having an opinion. Me, I'm addicted to being right. I want to be right all the time. And my friend David's always like, oh, how does that make you feel? Like, how is that, Joey? Like, you always have to be right. I'm like, fuck you, David. I'm like, it sucks because it makes me a bad guy a lot. It makes me have to be more aggressive than I need to be. It makes me have to, like, it's actually stressful. But it's a good point because I can be addicted to that. I can be addicted to self-righteousness like me and Rachel talked about. And so if you're someone, again, I bring all this up to talk about the book that creates self-awareness, that the self-awareness plus the tools and application of the tools creates self-liberation. And the more self-liberated you are a more peaceful person. You are a person that can have, that can negotiate, that can have conversations, that doesn't have to bicker and argue and be cold and dramatic and poisonous and hurtful and harmful. The more self-liberated you are, you can put your ideas out there. You put your heart out there. You're more loving. You're more open. You're more compassionate. You're more forgiving. You actually are wise because you cannot become self-liberated if you don't actually experience things. And that's wisdom. Wisdom is knowledge that has been applied. that creates experience. That's wisdom, not knowledge. You have to know the difference. And so, I've just been thinking a lot about the people that I work with, a lot about my friends and family, and just like the things that, when I get angry and resentful, it's really because I'm feeling pain from things in my life. I'm not doing, I'm not listening to myself. I'm not living into my integrity. When you really just rewind it back, it's always there's something painful in your life which causes an addiction. The hierarchy: anger, resentment, sadness, pain. And the more that we can get to these pains, talk about them, express them, do things to heal them, then the more liberated we are. And then you live into, what you're here to do on this earth, your purpose, your meaning, your heart. You become, again, less judgmental. You don't care what you don't value other people's opinions. You value your opinion above all else, and what you're doing, if that gives your life meaning and purpose. Not happiness, meaning and purpose. So that's why I wanted to put out that ebook. So if you would like a copy, all you got to do is reach out to me, send me your email, and I'll send you the OPT, the holistic OPT medicine wheel, the holistic guided transformation. The reason I call it holistic, because you don't need anything other than yourself. You don't need to be taking no pills. You don't need to download no fucking app. You don't need to go on no retreat. You don't need no fucking red lights. You don't need anything. That's what's holistic. It's you can do it through your own means, your own body. You will need a piece of paper and a pencil. Other than that, that's all you need. That's why I call it holistic. There's no anything else to other than your own effort, your own honesty, your own vulnerability, and you can become not only the best version of yourself, but you'll be able to recreate that process over and over and over and over and over again. And that's what you would call reincarnation. Reincarnation doesn't happen when you die. Reincarnation is happening right now, here, all day, every day. Shout out to the caterpillars. But you'll have those tools to keep doing that. And to be able to go through different things in your life, feel what is happening for you, take it, and process it in a way that is healthy and will continue to help you build a stable life, a healthy life, a life that is fulfilling and meaningful and purposeful. Again, I'm speaking from experience. And I can see now in my life where my addictions in terms of marketing, my perspective, my stubbornness prevents me from being more successful. But part of me untangling that is putting the book out, doing my marketing, doing all the things I should say when it comes to reaching out to people, inviting people in. And I'm actively doing that. So thank you all for listening. You can follow me on Instagram at _Apache_alchemist. You can check our website, optimalaz.com. Thank you all for listening, and you'll hear from me next episode.